If you're a brand new wrestling fan who just happens to have Netflix, a returning fan who doesn't know all the terminologies and stuff, or a very knowledgeable fan who really wants to call out everything I get wrong, then this is a video for you. With that in mind, here are all the wrestling terms you flat out need to know in 2025. That still sounds very weird to say. First off, a babyface, or just a face for short. They're basically the good guys, or the wrestling protagonists who you're supposed to cheer for, like, and or get behind. Meanwhile, a heel is basically the bad guy, or the wrestling antagonist who you're supposed to boo, hate, and even throw a couch cushion to while it's on fire. Whatever happens in New Japan should stay in New Japan, man. Now, there are certain cases where a face will be treated as a heel, or a heel will be treated as a babyface, and well, if that's the case, then the wrestler is currently a tweener, or in other words, a wrestling anti-hero. However, these cases are extremely rare because, well, a tweener is just either very situational, used as a transitional period between face and heel, or just very hard to pull off in general. Or it means that a wrestler is very bad at their job, so either one. Being over. Now, this is specifically referring to the overwhelmingly positive crowd reaction a specific wrestler is getting on a week-to-week basis. For example,
with everybody saying, yeah.
We want to make one thing perfectly clear. Damage control is done, and there's a new era. The Pure Fusion Collective.
Exactly, no pop.
And by that logic, he is basically the same thing, except with a negative crowd reaction instead of a positive one, which is typically good for heels, but not good for faces. And it's also not good if you're backstage. I know it's very confusing, but just trust me. Now, go home heat, well, it's still pretty much the same thing. It's still a negative crowd reaction. It's just, it's in less of a, oh, he's a bad guy, so let's boo him type of way, and more of a, get this shit off my screen, I hate it type way. And or it's a reaction a wrestler will get for a good reason. Insert Hulk Hogan. Now for this next one, look, if you genuinely didn't know this, then I guess I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but wrestling is scripted! Yeah, all the wins and losses are usually known ahead of time, and feuding wrestlers don't actually want to kill each other. Normally. So kayfabe, well, basically think of it as method acting, but for wrestling. Or in other words, think of it as telling your favorite actor to stay in character, even if they're not on set, or there's no cameras rolling. A push basically means that if a wrestler who's not used that often suddenly gets way more screen time than usual, then that means they generally have an idea for their character. Being buried. Basically, it means that a wrestler generally doesn't feel like a credible threat, either because they consistently lose, they're booked bad or inconsistently, and or by, well, doing whatever this was supposed to be. A jobber. A wrestler, or sometimes even a backstage extra, specifically there to eat the pin and make their opponent look good. A work. Basically something that's made up or very over-exaggerated purely for storytelling purposes. An angle, which is basically a storyline that is seemingly going in or has a specific direction. A shoot, which is basically storytelling that was not originally planned but is happening now because, well, why not? As well as a storyline that was either heavily impacted or completely changed on the fly due to real-life events. Editor, play the clip. I dream broken dreams. I tore your right tricep. Oh, and I stole your matchup low. A work shoot. Basically a planned angle that appears or even pretends to be an unplanned angle. Or in other words, you've been worked, brother. Enjoy his nice catering, which is basically a sleazy inside joke used to explain a wrestler's long and usually unexplained absence story-wise. A mark, which is basically the wrestling fan equivalent of a Karen. It's real to me, damn it. Okay, ending on a bit of a serious one. So, during a match, if you ever see a referee throw up this X symbol with their hand, that means someone in the match is legitimately injured to the point where they need immediate medical attention. Which therefore means that the match has to be instantly stopped. So, pray to whatever you believe in that you never have to see this in real life. Wait, before you go, if you genuinely are a new fan, then here are a few match suggestions to give you a general idea of what this whole wrestling thing is all about. First off, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 39, The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler, title versus career match at No Mercy 2016, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, also from Mania 39, Walter, who now goes by Gunther, versus Ilya Dragunov, either match on screen, MJF versus Will Ospreay, first time ever on AEW Dynamite, episode 250, Josh Alexander versus Will Ospreay, once again, either match on screen. Roxanne Perez versus Julia, NXT New Year's Evil 2025. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania 39. Why are there so many 39 matches? Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano, NXT TakeOver New York. The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood 2024. Warning, this match is very graphic. Chris Statlander versus Will Nightingale at All Out 2024. Warning, this one is also very graphic. Penta versus Chad Gable, second ever episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And finally, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, once again at WrestleMania 39, and then their rematch at WrestleMania 40. Oh, and if you live in the US, then I highly recommend getting a VPN or something, because I have heard that Raw on Netflix has no ads if you're an international viewer. Okay, enough for me, bye!